tonight.
I can't think of a deeper pile of stuff to step in.
A government employee is fired for blowing the whistle over apparent conflicts of interest. The NDP leaks audio of a Sask party candidate criticizing the province's education system. Warnings from experts after 2 bats test positive for rabies.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, October 21st, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Hi there, thanks for watching. CBC has learned that one of Saskatchewan's most powerful politicians fired a Crown Corporation board chair who blew the whistle on the organization. 3 years ago, Dennis Fitzpatrick uncovered concerns within the Saskatchewan Research Council. As Dane Patterson reports, the concerns were apparent conflicts of interest involving the CEO.
This facility, even though it's commercial demonstration, will make sufficient...
Since 2019, Mike Crabtree has been the president and CEO of the Saskatchewan Research Council. Shortly after being hired, 2 of his former business partners were added to the organization's board. Crabtree had partnered with the 2 men, Michael Meekins and Aaron Herman, on a company called Quick3. In addition, Crabtree was a trustee, shareholder, and advisor on another Mike Meekins company, Westbridge Capital, a private equity firm. Meekins and Herman have not replied to CBC's questions. An SRC spokesperson says government policy prohibits them from speaking during an election campaign. CBC asked Meekins, Herman, Crabtree, and the SRC for disclosure documents, but they have not answered. Board Chair Dennis Fitzpatrick says the problem with all of this, no one ever disclosed these relationships to him as board chair.
At no point were any of these former business or personal relationships ever highlighted, and they should have been.
Fitzpatrick says after first learning of these relationships, he began digging deeper and found something even more troubling. At one point, Crabtree sent an email to Fitzpatrick with big news. He said he proposed to the minister that SRC create a public-private partnership with Westbridge in a new rare earths facility. Remember, Westbridge is run by Michael Meekins, and Crabtree has ties to the company as well. Harrison approved Crabtree's pitch.
Single sourcing a contract to one of your board members? I can't think of a deeper pile of stuff to step in.
That prospective deal didn't go through, but Fitzpatrick says it highlights the danger of conflicts of interest. In an email, a spokesperson for the Research Council says Crabtree complied with all conflict of interest rules at all times. On January 11, 2022, Fitzpatrick told Minister Jeremy Harrison about what he'd found, but his message was not well received.
I gave him the information, and he indicated his displeasure. I think that's the best way of putting it.
Internal emails show right after that meeting, Harrison began the process of firing Fitzpatrick. When CBC asked why, Harrison said he'd received concerns about Fitzpatrick's conduct as board chair. But Fitzpatrick told us the minister had never raised any concerns about his behavior. He thinks that's a smokescreen. On January 19th, Fitzpatrick was officially fired by the provincial cabinet. That same day, Harrison received this letter from Fitzpatrick, which summarized their meeting together, outlining Fitzpatrick's conflict of interest concerns. At that point, Harrison made a surprising move. He asked the cabinet to reverse the firing of Fitzpatrick and make him the board chair once again.
If he's got serious issues with me, he shouldn't reappoint me. I mean, it's a clown show. He hired me the day he was reprimanding me.
Harrison told CBC he rehired Fitzpatrick because he had raised serious issues about Crabtree's conduct. We pointed out to Harrison that explanation doesn't make much sense because after Fitzpatrick raised those concerns in a meeting between the 2 men, Harrison fired him. CBC asked Harrison to explain the contradiction. He didn't reply. Eventually, Harrison did order an investigation of Fitzpatrick's concerns. The investigation found Fitzpatrick's allegations were not substantiated, and Harrison once again fired Fitzpatrick. But Fitzpatrick says that investigation didn't consider all the facts. Dane Patterson, CBC News, Saskatoon.
And with just 1 week until Election Day, the Saskatchewan Party and the NDP were busy today. From strategic campaign stops to leaked audio, Alexander Kwan brings us the latest.
Scott Moe chose to start his final week of campaigning with a stop in Martensville, a seat the Saskatchewan Party previously won comfortably. But Moe wanted to urge people not to split the vote.
There are only two parties that can form government. Voting for another party is only going to allow the NDP to win.
It's a clear message to potential supporters of the Buffalo Party or the Saskatchewan United Party. And while the Sask Party was issuing a message to voters, the NDP was taking aim at Moe himself.
Scott Moe has driven Saskatchewan into last place, and even his own candidates can't defend his record. Now, it's especially true when it comes to our classrooms.
The NDP released audio of the Sask Party's candidate for Regina Pasqua complaining about the state of education in the province. He was secretly recorded while speaking to a concerned resident in his riding, and the Sask Party has confirmed that it is indeed Mohammed Fayez on the tape.
35 kids in Campbell is insane. People are sitting on the floor. 35 kids to handle those, you need 3 teachers there. And at least at the first, it should not be 30 kids in the school. It has to be a reasonable amount that one teacher can pay full attention to it.
The Sask Party says Moe has admitted that more needs to be done to address the problems in the education system, while the NDP say the comments point to a wider issue.
If his own candidates are disagreeing with his record, what does that say about his leadership? What does that say about the trust that people of this province could have in Mr. Moe when his track record is one of failing our children?
Tuesday marks the first day of early voting. The election is set for October 28th. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
So early voting in the provincial election starts tomorrow on Tuesday. Election Saskatchewan will have more than 300 polling stations open until Saturday. There's no voting Sunday, and the last day to vote is 1 week from today, October 28th. In all, there will be 56 hours of voting available. That's up from 51 hours in the 2020 election, and it takes a lot of people to make it all happen.
What's called the Take Part list, on which there are over 10,000 people that we connect with on an ongoing basis. We call them the electoral service, not the public service, but the electoral service. And we have been working with them. And so what we have found is that we've been able to get enough workers. The people that work for us, they do get paid, but these are not professionals. They're people who are giving back to their community, and they want to contribute. And so we have been working with them to get enough, but obviously we're not working with them all the time. So there's challenges at the last second, but that's what we do, and this is how we run the election.
BOTA says more than 32,000 people registered to vote by mail. That's down from about 56,000 in the last election. The first-year mail-in ballots were allowed. Polls will completely close at 8 p.m. 1 week from today, and that's when ballot counting begins. There's a second count October 30th, and final count is November 9th. Experts are warning people to make sure their pets are vaccinated and to keep them away from wildlife. It comes after 2 bats tested positive for the viral disease last week. Ashwarya Duda has the story.
2 bats were confirmed positive for rabies in Saskatoon last week, one in the Brevard Park area and another in Silverwood Heights. A local veterinarian says people should not pick up or touch bats. She's reminding pet owners to make sure pets are vaccinated and to keep them away from wildlife.
If the cat is acting aggressive, disorientated, not able to swallow, fear of water, we would definitely want you to be very cautious and not handle the cat or sustain a bite from your cat, trying to get them in a carrier, contact your vet, contact public health so that they can take the next steps.
Higgins says the viral disease can transfer from wildlife to pets to humans. Human cases of rabies are extremely rare in Canada, with less than 30 cases since 1924. But a Brantford, Ontario child recently died after coming into contact with an infected bat. The child woke up with a bat in their room, but the parents didn't see any signs of a bite or scratch and didn't seek a rabies vaccine. Experts say there are effective treatments available for both humans and animals if medical attention is sought immediately. But once neurological symptoms set in, it's most likely fatal.
It's not unheard of that people have maybe a potential exposure because a bat has gotten into their house, or certainly if a bat is unable to fly, acting strangely in their backyard, a child playing in the backyard could become exposed. Our pets are curious. Our cats, if we let them out, are natural predators.
Dr. Clarence Bishop is the rabies risk assessment veterinarian with the province. He says there's been 11 confirmed cases of rabies in bats in Saskatchewan so far this year. That's up from 9 last year. Higgins says that the bats that tested positive in Saskatoon do not pose a risk to the public anymore. But if you see an animal acting strange or showing symptoms, contact your local conservation officer. Ashwarya Duda, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Well, just look at this little guy, just prepping himself for a longer, cooler night. Gosh, it sure does get quickly dark these days, but our daytimes have been gorgeous with leaves and lovely temperatures. But are those days over? Ethan will have the answer in his forecast after the break. Stay with us. As voters gear up for the provincial election, wheels are also in motion for civic elections, including the races for mayor. In Saskatoon, there are 5 candidates running for that job. A significant part of Saskatoon's voting population is seniors, and Saskatoon's Council on Aging held a mayoral candidate forum to help them get answers. It was also a chance for candidates to hear about issues of concern from older adults and their families.
Seniors are not only worried about themselves, they're worried about their families as well. Their children, their grandchildren. Who's going to pay for the death that's going to occur along the way? So affordability also is a huge issue that we're seeing here.
I think what I'm hearing from seniors is they want to understand how they're going to be able to live in this city in a good way, like to be able to move around, to be able to have affordable housing, to be able to have amenities that are close to where they live. And that's part of my plan.
Definitely affordability, safety, transit access, those are big ones. Recreation. It could keep going on, but they're all tied together. Recreation is tied to being access. So if you don't have good transit access, you can't get access to the recreation. There's a lot of these things tied together, right?
Mayoral candidates Gordon Wyant and Mike Harder weren't present at the forum. And while the 5 candidates do want this job, current Mayor Charlie Clark is not seeking re-election. He sat down with Saskatoon Morning host Stephanie Massicott to reflect.
The issue that has been the most really hard to live with in a way and has been difficult is homelessness, addictions, and mental health. When it comes to issues like how to, build a new leisure center or a bridge or fix potholes or change our systems for how building permits get to make them more efficient. We have all the tools and we know what we need to do that. When it comes to addictions and homelessness and some of these issues, it has felt like everything we've tried to do, you're trying to make steps forward and despite all those efforts, we keep moving further and further back and seeing more people. And everything we have done has been hard to do too because of the concerns that everybody has about where shelters are located and whether or not the cities, has a role in doing this kind of work, and just the complexity and the number of factors involved has made it the thing that keeps me up at night because it's just so hard to wrap your arms around it and actually solve it.
I can't have you here and not ask you if you are endorsing anyone for mayor.
I hear people talking about Saskatoon being broken, and this idea that somehow, we have these significant problems. And we do have problems when it comes to homelessness and addictions and mental health. But we also are in very good financial position. We're one of the only 3 cities in the country that Standard & Poor's rated as having the strongest financial management, debt position, and budgeting performance in the entire country, and we're a city that is on the rise. And that in order to be that city, you need to pay attention to more than just property taxes and fixing potholes and hiring police. You have to have a vision for how to make sure that people have a sense of belonging in a city. And you have to create places that people love, like River Landing and the Remy Modern and the new Pawateton basketball courts. You have to focus on a lot of those kinds of gathering places, as well as that sense of inclusion. It's been important for me to reach out to the 2S LGBTQ community and make sure that that people feel like they can fully contribute from that community, as well as the newcomer community, as well as the hard work of truth and reconciliation. And so I just would ask people to look and say, does this mayor have a vision for the whole city, or is it just the sort of the old style fix potholes and reduce crime, and that's all it takes? Because it takes more than that to create a city that people love.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. Our greatest auto sale is on now.
And our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. Have you strapped in for the roller coaster we're about to ride?
Yeah, well, we've been riding it here, and I'm trying to hold on as best I can because, boy, it is really jolting us around in some parts of the province. Many areas today seeing temperatures go on a bit of a flip-flop here. Here's where we got to for daytime highs across many areas. You notice 25 down in Estevan, just 6 up in Meadow Lake. And we've had a real flip-flop here, even just in the last 24 hours. This is southwestern Saskatchewan when you compare temperatures at 5 o'clock yesterday to 5 o'clock today, Monday. And you can see we've had quite a drop, over 15 degrees in places like Shaunavon and Maple Creek. We're down into the single digits for our temperatures this afternoon. You move a little further east and you get into places like Regina and Saskatoon, and these temperature drops, nearly 10 degrees in some places, have happened just in a short few hours kind of through Monday afternoon here. Now, while South and Central deals with the temperature drop, that same system brought this near Key Lake. Yeah, pretty measurable snowfall on the ground there, and with temperatures dropping significantly overnight tonight, I think this will be sticking around. But thanks to Sean for sending us in that photo. Now, South and Central, that doesn't mean we're free and clear of any snow just yet. This system has been bringing measurable snowfall, almost 10 centimeters in parts of southeastern Alberta today. It is now moving into the province as we head into the evening hours. But it looks like a lot of this is changing over to rain, and it looks like it may start to dissipate a little bit as it moves in. But nonetheless, radar's still picking up some mixed precipitation in west central areas. And as I say, we get into the evening hours, we're expecting a little bit more of that, and then that starts moving eastward. Regina and the southeast, we get some rain from this system as we head through the overnight tonight. And then tomorrow, a few flakes still possible. Again, this is not heavy snow. I think it's at most just a few flurries here and there in parts of Regina and maybe into the southeast. But then things will start clearing through the afternoon tomorrow, and temperatures, well, they'll be holding back a little bit tomorrow, but it'll start warming up a bit as we go through the week. A little bit of snowfall still possible into far northern Saskatchewan as we get into early Wednesday morning. For South and Central, we remain pretty uneventful weather-wise for the rest of the week. For the north, still some cloud cover. That'll be a major theme, and some lingering flurries and some light snow from time to time. So again, I think that southeast corner around Estevan, maybe a good 5 to 10 millimeters overnight, but for the rest of us, look for maybe 2 to 4 millimeters as far as snowfall goes. Again, as you see here, for a lot of us, that will mostly be over. I think it's Alberta that really bore the brunt of the snow today. Winds still going to be picking up a little bit from time to time over these next couple of days, but nothing exceptionally windy, I don't think. But for Regina tomorrow, again, after a chance of some morning showers or flurries, will be chilly through the day. And then things get back to somewhat normal as we head into the rest of the week. For Saskatoon, again, a daytime high only near 3 degrees tomorrow. Those will be pretty brisk winds at times before our temperatures start to bump up. So just a blip in the weather forecast before things return to normal, Sam.
Thank you for all the clarifying while I sit over here clutching my pearls.
Yes, I saw that jaw drop a few times.
Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
Okay, how cute is this? A group of students has teamed up with members of an indigenous community to help preserve an endangered turtle in central Peru. That ceremony proceeded to the release into the wild of 160 yellow-spotted river turtles. More than 500 hatchlings have been born and released since the project launched a few years ago, and the project has a 91% hatching success rate. We'll be back after the break. People in New Brunswick voted today in a provincial election. Progressive Conservative leader Blaine Higgs was hoping to win a third term as premier. But with polls closed and ballots being counted, CBC projects a Liberal majority government. Liberal Party leader Susan Holt is set to become the first female premier for New Brunswick. The Liberals are currently leading or elected in 31 ridings, with Higgs' PC party only leading or elected in 16. Blaine Higgs will not be returning to the legislature as he has lost his own seat. 24 hours before BC's provincial election, everyone agreed it was way too close to call. And 2 days later, things are still up in the air. That's because NDP Premier David Eby and Conservative challenger John Rustad have not secured enough seats to attempt to form a government. As we sit, the NDP are leading or elected in 46, the Conservatives in 45, and the Greens in 2. Now in BC, 47 seats are required to form a majority. There will be recounts. The final counting period is between October 26th and 28th. Former BC Premier Christy Clark has suggested she would be interested in replacing Justin Trudeau as Liberal leader if he stepped down. She's told Radio Canada she would, quote, like to be part of the discussion about the future direction of the Liberal Party and the country. She said she feels polarized that political views are standing in the way of solving various problems plaguing Canadians. Her comments come ahead of a Liberal caucus meeting on Wednesday. Clark served as premier from 2011 to 2017. And Ethan is back with one last look at your weather, and it's not political at all.
No, but it is a roller coaster with some tense moments at times for sure. Some showers in Regina tonight as we sit around 7 degrees. Tomorrow morning around 8 a.m. or so, I think that's when we have a chance of maybe either some rain or snow. Again, we're not looking for a whole lot of moisture here, and by the noon hour, it's over, and I think we may even see the sun come out a little bit tomorrow afternoon. For Saskatoon, that risk of rain or snow is for overnight tonight, and then already by tomorrow morning, we may see some breaks of sun here and there. Temperature, though, not going to get much warmer than 2 degrees, and with some pretty brisk northwesterly winds. Yeah, that's going to feel a little chilly at times, Sam.
Coats and mittens for everybody.
Indeed, yes.
Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
And that is it from us tonight. For more on the provincial election campaign, you can head to cbc.ca/Sask. Election Day is 1 week from today, Monday, October 28th. We invite you to join us here for the results and analysis afterward. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.